The acrid scent of metal and bitterness slithered into my dreams, and I woke with a gasp. A phantom lightness where my hair should have been sent a cold dread coiling in my stomach. The reflection in the mirror was a stranger's, a distorted, brutalized version of me. My hair, my beautiful, waist-length chestnut hair, was gone. In its place were jagged, uneven tufts, hacked away like a vandal had taken shears to a masterpiece. My first thought was a break-in, a violation in the sanctity of my own bed, but then I saw them, glinting innocently on my dresser. My mother's craft scissors, the ones she used for coupon clippings. Beside them, a sticky note landed like a blow to the face. "You'll still look fine. Focus on your speech for Hannah's big day." I stood frozen, the severed strands on my pillow a silent testament to a part of me that had been murdered in my sleep. That wedding, it was supposed to be my moment. A single chance to stand before the people who had spent a lifetime looking through me. A chance to finally wear the navy silk dress I'd bought with my own hard-earned money. To speak with a confidence they had never allowed me. Instead, I looked like the punchline to a cruel joke. In the kitchen, my father barely glanced up from his newspaper. "Oh, good, you're up," he grunted. "Less hair is less distracting anyway. The attention isn't supposed to be on you." My mother, sipping her coffee with an air of detached serenity, added, "It's Hannah's wedding, dear. Let her shine." Let her shine. They spoke as if my very presence was a threat to the sun, as if my confidence could somehow eclipse their perfect daughter. Let me paint you a picture. I was the daughter they managed, never the one they celebrated. Hannah got the designer clothes and the trip to Paris. I got the hand-me-downs and lectures on gratitude. While she practiced violin, I worked weekends to save for a college they wouldn't help me with. I moved out at 19, juggling 2 jobs, yet I still RSVP'd yes to this wedding. I clung to a foolish hope that this time, just this once, we could be a family without the bitter taste of competition. But they had drugged me. My mother's soothing chamomile tea, laced with enough NyQuil to fell a horse, had been the perfect cover. They had stolen into my room, my own parents, and shorn me like an animal. When my roommate, Becca, rushed over, her gasp echo of the horror in my heart. "They did this to you? On purpose?" I could only nod. The tremors in my voice betrayed the steel I was trying to build around myself. Becca, ever the pragmatist, pulled out her phone. A glint of defiance sparked in her eyes. "Okay," she said, her voice low and steady. "We're not going to the wedding like this. We're going to do something better." Revenge wasn't my first instinct. I just wanted to disappear. But then Becca had me listen to something I had recorded weeks ago, a voice memo, a habit I'd picked up from my therapist. It was my mother's voice, sharp and cold. "She thinks she'll look better than Hannah. We'll fix that." Followed by my father's chilling chuckle. "We'll cut it while she sleeps. Girls like her need reminders." Hearing it back, the casual cruelty of their words solidified into a terrifying pattern. These weren't just jabs. This was a calculated campaign. "You know," Becca said softly, "there's a way to make them listen." That night, a decision took root in the barren soil of my grief. I would go to the wedding, but not as the broken, mousy daughter they expected. I would not wear the dress they scorned or speak the hollow words they'd written for me. I would take their script and burn it to the ground. And that would only be the beginning. Becca, my angel of vengeance, worked her magic. My butchered hair was transformed into a sleek, edgy bob. "You look like someone about to expose a dynasty," she whispered, a fierce grin on her face. By morning, I was no longer a victim. I was a woman with a plan. I arrived at the sprawling vineyard estate, Hannah's photogenic dream, financed by my parents' pride, before the celebratory chaos began. I was a ghost in their perfectly curated world, but not for long. At the rehearsal brunch, surrounded by warm smiles and smug satisfaction, I walked to the microphone. "Hi, everyone," I began, my voice clear and steady. The air crackled, the pleasant hum of conversation dying instantly. My mother's smile froze. "I know I'm not the favorite daughter. That's never been a secret. But I'm here to say something different today." A fork clattered against a plate. "I want to talk about what happens behind the family portraits. About parents who say they love you, but drug you and take scissors to your hair so you don't outshine your sister. About treating one child's existence as a threat to the other." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Enough!" my father roared, leaping to his feet. But I was a force of nature now. "You don't get to rewrite who I am anymore. You don't get to trim me down, hide me, or pretend this didn't happen." I held up my phone, and my mother's voice, cold and venomous, filled the silence. Then my father's laugh, a sound that would haunt my nightmares. The silence that followed was deafening. Horror was etched on every face. "You taught me shame," I concluded, my gaze locking with theirs. "Now I'm teaching you consequences." Security escorted me out as my parents' world imploded. My sister's tears weren't for me, they were for her precious wedding photos. But the real story was just beginning. Becca had uploaded the full video. Within 24 hours, it was a viral wildfire. "This is what happens when you weaponize family," the caption read. Millions of views, celebrity retweets. I was inundated with messages from strangers. "Thank you for saying what I never could." A week later, an email landed in my inbox that changed everything. A wedding magazine editor. "Your story isn't just brave, it's a story we want to feature. How would you feel about a photo shoot titled 'The Uninvited Sister Who Stole the Show'?" My answer was a resounding yes. The photo shoot was a reclamation. I was styled in gowns that shimmered with defiance, my new hair a crown of my own making. I was no longer a victim. I was a warrior. 3 months passed. The silence from my family was absolute, but the world was screaming my name. I had become the face of every silenced child, every overlooked sibling. I found my purpose not in fame, but in freedom. Cynthia Ray, the CEO of a high-end fashion brand, reached out. Her daughter had a similar story. She offered me a job, creative director for a new campaign, "You Can't Cut Power." My pain was now my platform. The fallout for my family was swift and brutal. Their community turned their back on them. Hannah's new husband left her after discovering a trove of anonymous accounts she'd used to attack me online. Her complicity had cost her everything. The ultimate revenge, though, was sweeter than I could have imagined. Cynthia made me an offer I couldn't refuse. She said, "We're opening our first creative office in your hometown. Want to run it?" And so I did. We opened a sleek, sunlit studio on the very street my parents used to drag me down on the way to Hannah's recitals. The window decal was a bold declaration: "Power cannot be cut." At our launch party, my parents appeared, uninvited. They looked smaller, aged by the harsh glare of public exposure. "We're proud of you," my mother murmured. I smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile. "That's funny. You haven't been proud of me since I had braces." My father attempted a weak chuckle. "Families heal, right?" "Would you like to leave a comment card?" I gestured to the front desk. We take feedback very seriously here. Otherwise, I have a room of people I actually respect waiting to hear me speak. As I turned away, I saw them for what they were. 2 people completely out of place in the world I had built. I didn't need to shout. My success was the loudest roar. Just as the glass door slid behind them, I called out one last time. "By the way," I said, my voice ringing with newfound strength, "next time you try to cut down a daughter to elevate another, just remember, scissors dull, but some girls sharpen." They never came back, and I never needed them to. I had finally learned that they didn't define my beauty, my power, or my worth. Not with scissors, not with silence, not ever again.